You should revise it again and again. Only one secret is there. So we will be talking about GIT, gastrointestinal tract. Now this system, what do you feel that, why this system has been provided? Why we need this system? What is your idea that what we need, why we need this system?
For getting nutrients from the food we ingest.
Getting food. So what we will get from food actually?
Energy.
So this food will give energy. So this is what we call nutrition for our body. And why we need energy?
In order to work or to function.
To do our daily life
To
activities.
function.
To maintain the internal environment of
Can we use the word metabolism? Have you have an idea of metabolism?
So of course.
So for metabolic needs,
Yes.
our systems have to work, and this working needs energy, and this is provided by the food. For food, this system has been arranged. Second thing, about every system, when we call it a system, it is made up of organs. So definitely this system will also be comprising of organs. So let us see that before we proceed to the organ, various parts of the system, we have finalized that energy we get from food. Now, what this metabolism, the end result of metabolism in our body, why we have
This one.
end result of metabolism. What about, have you heard this word of homeostasis? What is homeostasis? Can we add something? Homeostasis. You. Why you are looking to other side? You. Why not to share? Yes. Homeostasis.
It's to keep the internal environment of the body.
At same level in all concentrations, maybe ionic concentrations, maybe the same status of the conditions inside as compared to outside also. And if this homeostasis changes, that means we are not normal. That goes to disease. So to maintain, if we summarize this thing, the main function of this system is that we are having our inner system working, that is metabolism, and that needs energy which we get from food, and this system is there to help for the absorption, for digestion, for eating, all this from the food. So let us see that this system, if we move to the slides, the first slide, what we will learn from this lecture. The main objective is that we have to understand today very basic thing, and that is we have to see the various parts of this digestive system and understand their structure and functions individually. Second is that what are the different processes which are involved in the process of digestion. So this tube, as we said, it consisting of various what we call parts, organs. So if we label this as the tube, this tube will start a tubular structure and it will go down to the last end that we call anus. Now the system has been arranged in such a way that whatever we take, it takes a long route to go to the end. And this long route, the main purpose is that every useful thing should be digested and absorbed. So at the end we get undigested part which is useless to the body. So a long route has been designated, a long route has been given to pass through that food should, not a single particle of useful product, useful thing should be wasted. So this tube, when we will see that different portion in between is main for what we call as gastrointestinal tract, GIT, are our gastric systems. And if you please look at this slide, the two important components, they have been arranged over there. One is tube itself with different portions starting from the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small and large intestine, and last the anus. In addition to this main tube, we have some extra things which are helping this function. And these accessory organs, they include, starting from the mouth, the teeth and tongue in the mouth. Then we have got some of the glands which we will see one by one. Then gallbladder, liver and pancreas. So all these accessory organs, they are the supporting element for digestive system. Did you get my point? So this is, one is main tube and something has been provided extra, not only for purpose of decoration, they are also functional parts. So with this in mind, let us see that how this tube is arranged. Now this whole tube is meant for digestion. So major purpose is we should digest the food. Here we see in a sequence, this whole process starts with the intake of the food. So first process in the mouth is that we take in the food. The term for this is what we call ingestion. So to take in the food, the first process with this whole process will start. First step, ingestion of the food. That is taking the food in the mouth. Secondly, when it has gone inside in the mouth, we will see that this food will be converted into what we call bolus, lokma. So this bolus is an arrangement of food by which it can pass very comfortably through the next portion of the tube. We take food in different formats, maybe solid, liquid, very hard, very soft, in between. So all this has to be mixed together and should be palatable, should be in a format which we can take in easily. And this process, what we take in easily is what we call swallowing. So this swallowing process or deglutation. So this process is again first step after the bolus to move the food on its pathway. Then of course, for the mobility of the bolus, this tube must be in a process of movement. It should move. And this special movement of the tube is what we call peristalsis. So peristalsis or peristaltic movements are special steps by which the food moves forward. So this tube from mouth to anus, we will see that it is in a special movements that we call peristalsis. Now this peristalsis is actually, if you make a tube, it is in a format that if one bolus is here, with further contraction and relaxation of the tube, next step it will contract so that this should be pushed forward in the tube. So peristalsis is the special movements in this tube, GIT system. The main purpose is to move the tube forward on its pathway. So with the first intake or ingestion, second is the propulsion, that is movement of the food. So when it has moved in, it has to be digested now. For digestion, the other parts of the system digestion of the food, it has got two steps or two mode of digestion. One is certain chemical compounds are added to the food so that the food becomes palatable, digestible. Second thing is by mechanical purposes the food moves. So we have two modes of digestion, the chemical digestion and mechanical digestion. So this whole process goes on. Now it has reached another step when it has become digestible. So when the food is digestible, then of course it must be absorbed. So the next step comes in this process after the digestion, the absorption of the food. So the digested food must be taken into the blood so that it can reach to every part of the body. Now this journey to every part of the body with the help of circulatory system through the blood and lymph. Then last thing, now we have absorbed the useful materials. Any unuseful material or dangerous material or material which is not suitable for our body should be expelled out. And this process is what we call defecation. So if we summarize from first step of taking the food in ingestion, it has to be changed into a palatable format that must be swallowed. So swallowing, then digestion, with all these food has to move by peristaltic movement. The tube has to move it forward. And then we take down with the process of digestion throughout until it reaches the waste product absorption and then waste products to be removed as defecation. Now keeping this in mind, we go for further to see the different portions that we encounter in the passage of a tube. Now this system is starting with the first step, that was to take in the food through the mouth. So this mouth is to be considered as the first station in the journey of the food. Now, as you are aware, and it is on the slide also, can we name some of the parts of the mouth? What do you think? Anything in the mouth? What do you remember?
Teeth.
Tongue.
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 So that is the first portion that he has named, components which makes the mouth. The contents, the components, the parts. So why not to start with the boundaries? Why not to start like this? What can you on the back benches please? Boundaries of our mouth. Anybody please?
Lips.
Lips, very good. Then lips there. If you trace the lips back, what are these portions?
Cheeks.
Cheeks. Very good. And next, what about the upper portion? Roof, the palate. And at the same time you can recall back that this palate, if we feel it with the tongue, one portion is a hard and one palate is what we call soft palate. The hard palate is, of course, it is hard, made up of bones covered with mucous membrane. Soft palate with some ligaments, muscles even. For everywhere where we talk of movement, muscles should be there. Then, any other thing, what about the floor? When we have talked of the walls and roof, floor must be there. What makes the floor of our mouth?
Acidic glands, I think.
Mandible. Salivary gland.
Of course, the mandible with the help of again muscles, ligaments and tongue rest on the floor. So our tongue is resting on the floor of the mouth.
Uvulas. The uvula.
Back of our mouth.
Yes.
We have already seen this back of our mouth in respiratory system, back of our nose. What was the term for this? When we say that pharynx. So pharynx and back of our mouth, back of our nose we labeled as nasopharynx. But back of our mouth, oropharynx. Very good. So this is oropharynx. Then below that we will come across with hypopharynx or laryngopharynx. So these are portions. Now important thing, what about teeth? One of the very important component of our, which are lying within the mouth. Then we will have some of the glands which are openings into the making saliva. So salivary glands. So these all add to the mouth, environment of the mouth. They make up the environment of the mouth which is suitable for making the food into a bolus. We are not using the word digestion, not absorption. Food practically does not absorb from the mouth, but some medications, some medicines can absorb. For example, if you have heard of the heart attack in China, we put the medicine under the tongue and it gets absorbed. We put the medicine below our tongue that we call sublingual use of some tablet which can stop our, it is an emergency of course in China, heart pain is a very acute emergency. So things can absorb but medications. So this with the mouth with all its, we will see them, the components one by one. So tongue first. Now this is a muscular organ, muscle, and because we are moving at our own will, and of course most of us, we not only for eating, for ingestion, for talking, for making speech, we need tongue. This is very pity that we can move the tongue but we never think before moving the tongue. We are just talking without thinking. But it is advisable that we should think, because once we have talked, everything is out. So it can't be taken back. So tongue is a muscular organ. Now this muscle is movable. That means it is a skeletal muscle again. We can move at our own will. A skeletal muscle. So each skeletal muscle is controlled by a nerve. So it must have something which can move the muscle. Some nerves control from the brain's central nervous system that can control these muscles. Second thing, another important function of our tongue is to taste the things. So there must be some special arrangement by which we can taste our food. Because if taste is not there in the food, then nobody will like to have food. This is all story of taste. They say that no gut, no glory. That means that whole of the life is running about this taste. We are after the taste. So it has an arrangement that is required for the taste. So there is a special organs placed over there, which we call as taste buds. And they are there to understand what is the taste for our food. So when we see the tongue as a whole, a muscular organ, the first function that we have labeled is that it will grip the food. Once we have taken in the food, the tongue is there to keep it in the mouth. It will not fall out. If this control is gone by any disease, then you might have seen people or in small children, for example, the water is falling out of the mouth. So that it becomes a disease. So normal function of this is to grip and reposition the food. Reposition means to put in a position which is suitable for place.
Yeah, 2 pinky serves, 1 curry, 2 long molars,
Yeah. So all these teeth, they differ in shapes and their purpose is also different. The incisor from the word incision, to cut. So their just main purpose is to cut the food. Then after to crush and to make into a bolus is duty of the last teeth. So due to the shape, they have different functions. If you look at this, the shapes are clear. Then this is the same that we have revised. Incisors, canine, premolars and molars. Then the third thing is that what we call salivary glands. Now these, the word comes from saliva, a liquid in our mouth which keeps the mouth moist all the time. Very important for the life of the mouth. If it dries up, it becomes a disease, and very serious disease. Everywhere we have got in the body some special liquids to moist that region. For example, for eye, tears. So similar for mouth, saliva, produced by 3 pairs of glands that we call salivary glands. So these glands are placed around the mouth. One of the pair is which is in front of our ear, and our outside to the jaw is what we call parotid gland. Parotid. So parallel to this opening, this is for the ear. So parallel to this gland is placed on 2 sides. And this gland secretes saliva and it passes through a tube. So these glands, they have got their tubes to open into the mouth. 3 pairs of glands, salivary glands. The first one, parotid, it will open past this saliva to the mouth through this tube, and this is what we call duct of the gland, the tube of that gland for conveying the secretion of the saliva. This opens into the mouth opposite to our second molar tooth. We can see this in our mouth. Then the other glands are what we call sublingual and submandibular. Sub means below. Lingual, the other name for the tongue, lingua. The language we call it, what we make from the tongue. So these 2 glands, 2 sets, 2 pairs of glands, one is below the mandible and one is below the tongue. They also open by ducts. Parotid has got only 1 duct, but these have some more than 1 duct, and they open below our tongue. So ducts, they open below our tongue. That is at the floor of the mouth. So this is what are these 3 salivary glands. They produce saliva, and this is main component of saliva is water, but it has got other chemicals, the ions, enzymes, buffers, acidic materials. But properties of this secretion is that it has got antibacterial activities and antiviral even activities. So they add to the environment of the mouth to change it suitable for the food digestion, for onward journey.
Doctor,
Please.
the parotid gland has only
1 duct,
1 duct.
1 tube, while others they have more than 1. Now the food has changed into bolus. The tongue, the teeth, they have crushed the food. Of course, we are taking food in different format, different shapes, and then it has been crushed and made into a bolus, and saliva helps to moisten it. Now this has gone to the back of our mouth that we call oropharynx, the pharynx proper, the pharynx region. So this pharyngeal region will, two portion of this, the oropharynx and hypopharynx will be, which is a part of this system. Nasopharynx we talked in respiratory system, and these two portions, they are also for the passage of the air also along with the food. Then it has to go down, and for this pharynx again has to move, and again movement comes from the muscles. So it has to become small, constrict and relax. So there are group of muscles, the constrictor muscles, they are also, we can move them, skeletal muscles. They are voluntary muscles. So when the food bolus has come into the pharynx, next step is to swallow it. So all these components like tongue, back of our mouth, that is pharynx, they go into action and pass it down to the first part of the tube that we call esophagus. The gullet, some people they call it Gullet. Now normally this tube, as we have seen in respiratory system also, it is a closed tube. When we swallow the food, it opens to receive the food. And of course, recall back the mechanism that trachea, air tube has to be closed when we are swallowing. So there is a valvular arrangement of epiglottis, which as soon as we start swallowing, epiglottis shuts the mouth of the trachea. So food passes back, slips back into the esophagus. Now this is a very interesting tube. Now this first step of the tube, what we call swallow, has to be done by ourselves. It is a voluntary action. If you place at the food at the back of mouth, that is in pharynx, and do not swallow, do not take action, it will not go down. So it is a voluntary action. And for voluntary actions, we need muscles. And which muscles? Voluntary muscles, skeletal muscles. So this tube is very interestingly, can be easily divided into three portions. In its first part, it is consisting of skeletal voluntary muscles. In lowermost part, it is consisting of smooth or involuntary muscles. While middle 1/3 is group of mixed muscles. So three portions of the tube, they differ in structure. First portion is purely made up of voluntary muscles, while last is smooth muscles, involuntary muscles. Middle portion is in between. So first step of swallowing, we have to do ourselves. It is a voluntary action. When we have taken the food, swallow the food, then skeletal muscles are gone. Their action is finished. Over here, smooth muscles with skeletal and smooth. So once we take the food in, we cannot take it back by our will. Once we have swallowed the food, we cannot take unless we do some special action for vomiting, for example. So this is the functional correlation from the structure. Now this tube, when we see this tube, it goes down, and now this portion of the esophagus is lying, as we have seen already, in the thoracic cavity, thorax. Then it has to cross what we call diaphragm. and it will open into the next part, that is the stomach. Now over here we have already remembered that this diaphragm has got three big opening for three big structures to either to pass down or to pass back above. So now this has, from the thoracic cavity, it has gone to the abdominal cavity or abdomen. So at this place where esophagus opens into the stomach, a special arrangement of muscles has been produced which control this opening. That we call sphincter. Now this sphincteric action, when the food has passed over, will not allow the food back into the esophagus. If this sphincter becomes loose or defective, food can go back. Then it becomes a disease, not a normal function. Now this sphincter is practically a physiological sphincter. It is an action, function. Anatomically, we can see the muscle fibers. Of course, we have seen that it is consisting of muscle fibers, but as such, like some special valve, there is nothing to be seen anatomically. So this sphincteric position, sphincteric location is a safeguard that food should not come back. Second thing, when we will see the stomach, it has got some special chemicals in it. A liquid is there produced for the food to be digested. Gastric juice or gastric fluid. Thus this contains hydrochloric acid, an acidic material. So this acidic material is also prevented back. It should not go back into the esophagus. The structure of esophagus. Now HCl, gastric juice containing HCl and other components is placed in the stomach. So this surface of the stomach is specially made, mucous membrane of the stomach is specially made that it is not damaged by this secretion. But this portion is not made in that format. So if the acid will come back, it can damage esophagus. So this sphincter helps not to go back food only, but also the gastric juice. Sometimes physiologically we can get some of the acid to come back, and that we call regurgitation. So regurgitation, physiological regurgitation is just slightly, sometimes if we take too much food, fill the stomach, then some of the contents acidic material can go back and feel burning in our, this heartburn, if it becomes constant.
This burning called
Regurgitation. Regurgitate is to go back. So this tube, the esophagus, is specially made with the muscles and of course the other portions that we call the mucosa. Now the food has crossed the esophagus and reached the next portion, the stomach, a J-shaped structure, and this J-shaped organ, when we see in detail from esophagus down, we can recognize some of the portions. It is an apex, but they label it as fundus. Now this end where esophagus open, this is what we call cardiac end. Because if you recall back, above to this, heart was placed, so nearer to the heart. Of course, diaphragm is in between. Then we have got all this portion that we call body of the stomach. Then this portion where the next part of the GIT system that we call small intestine will start is pylorus.
Pylorus in the small intestine.
No, this region of the stomach, which is last end of the stomach, and then it will cross into the next portion. We will see that we call this portion as duodenum. It is part of small intestine. We will just see now. Now a part of the body, the lower portion of the body, which is nearer to the pylorus, in physiologically they call it antrum. So it is not whole body, a portion of the body, because this region of the body and antral region of the body has gastric juice with different composition. Acidity HCl and another compound pepsinogen. The chemical nature of gastric juice differs in both parts of the body, the proper body portion and antrum part of the body. But this part is part of the body anatomically. Then this border of the stomach that we call as lesser curvature, and this in comparison greater curvature. Curvature is curve. So this is the greater curve and this is lesser curvature. Now please keep these all portions in your mind that we have to use these terms again and again. The fundic portion, cardiac end and pyloric end, fundus, body, antrum, pylorus. Now this pylorus we will see if one portion of the pylorus is what we call pyloric canal, and this portion of the pylorus is again with a sphincter control. So this is also what we call pyloric sphincter.
Sphincter?
Sphincter, same which we were having here, esophageal sphincter and pyloric sphincter. The valve, the controlling gate. So this sphincter will also not allow the food when it passes down to the next part to come back, to regurgitate. But regurgitation is a special term for this region, not for this region.
What is special for the first?
No, nothing special. Just food cannot come back due to pyloric sphincter.
So what's the difference between duodenum and?
Now we will see this. So now food has been in the stomach.
No.
And let us, before going to the next part, how the stomach behaves to the food bolus. What changes take place in the stomach? So when the food has come down, now this tube, if we look, it is again made up of muscles, muscle walls. And these muscles are arranged, they are smooth muscles, involuntary muscles. They are automatically moving on. They are programmed to move. So they are arranged in three layers. One is circular layer, the other is longitudinal layer, and one layer is oblique. So arrangement of the muscle in the wall is that it has got arrangement like longitudinal and circular and oblique. So three layers of muscles. So this arrangement, one group is going like this, the other group is going like this, other one, it makes this bag very strong. Second thing, when we look inside, the inner lining of the stomach, mucous membrane, it is not smooth. It is placed again in folds. And these folds we call them as ruggi, rugosity. The main purpose is that if we open these, they will take this much space. If we open these folds, they will take a large. So with rugosity, more surface area has been provided in a small space. Did you get my point, please?
Yes. Yeah.
So this is the arrangement folds inside the stomach. And these, they have got special glands inside, which produce special cells and gastric glands made up of the different cells which are producing gastric juice with HCl, pepsinogen and number of components. So all these things if you keep in mind, one is muscular organ. So when the food is inside, bolus is there and it is strapped all around, just think of a strong wrestler with big muscles, and if he hugs you, you can think of your status. What will happen to your body?
You can't breathe.
It can crash, of course. So similar thing happens over here. What we call mesquine bolus has come inside and now muscles are attacking on it. So stomach will crush it, already crushed with the teeth. Then it will churn it, mix it. As we can make, from the yogurt we can make lavan. So how to make lavan from yogurt? Anybody has seen in some village in area small?
Yeah.
There are special
Yeah.
pots, we
Yeah.
put them and then this is called churning in English. So they crush, they churn and everything is mixed. So now this bolus has become into a liquid form, a semi-solid, a material which can pass very easily downwards.
Doctor, regia, this mucous membrane, is its shape regia or its name regia?
No, it is shaped.
Its shape.
We call them Ruggae, R-U-G-A-E. It is like this, but this has been produced, what we call in the folds. This much area, so they have been produced like this. So this big thing has come into this small space. So if we open it, we will need more surface, so it has increased the capacity.
It's for absorption of.
For absorption, of course. For absorption.
The surface inside the stomach, right?
Yes, this is inside the arrangement of mucous membrane. And look at this, the capacity is about 1.5 liter at a time. Then, after mixing and everything, this will pass down to the next portion that we call small intestine, and it has got 3 portions. Now these 3 portions we have to recognize: the duodenum, jejunum and ileum. All the 3 parts of small intestine. So from esophagus to stomach, we pass into a tube like this, and then it passes into a tube like this until it makes a tube which comes out like this. So these 1, 2 and 3. This is DGI, the duodenum, jejunum and ileum, DJI. 3 portions of small gut. Now food has to cross through this. If we take out the duodenum, we find that this pyloric canal, it goes through these. So it has got 4 portions, duodenum. Arrangement, according to arrangement. For example, this can be a horizontal portion, descending portion. We do not use these terms, but they are arranged according to the direction. This portion is ascending and it will go into jejunum. Now out of all these portions, we will come again to this second part is very important. It has got openings of some ducts over here. Opening of some tubes. Please listen it carefully. Openings of some tubes in the second part of the duodenum. And one of the tube is carrying a chemical compound that we call bile, sophra. So this is a green material which we will see afterwards. It is coming from gallbladder. The second is coming from another gland, the pancreatic duct. So this is what we call bile duct, and this is pancreatic duct. So they are opening over here in the second part of the duodenum. So definitely these chemical compounds, they are responsible for digestion. In this portion they will come up, and especially bile is for digestion of fats. So they will reach over here for helping the process of digestion and absorption. Digestion and absorption has started from the stomach. It will go down throughout the small intestine. Small intestine is the major portion where the absorption of the digested material takes place: carbohydrate, proteins. In the food we have three components in a balanced food: carbohydrates, proteins and fats, along with special elements, ions, vitamins. So that makes a balanced food. Food must be balanced. So this second part has got, now these two ducts, sometimes they open independently, separately, and sometimes they open like this in one opening. But over here when they open, they are opening over here and they make an elevation, raised part. Another duct is opening over here. So this raised part is what we call ampulla. Ampulla is elevated portion. Ampulla of water. Water is the name of some person. So this portion is ampulla of water. VA. This is name of some person. You can put it with capital. So this is second part of the duodenum. Now these three portions we call them small intestine, but practically it is the longest portion. It is about 20 feet long. So why we call it, maybe misnomer, wrong name, but if we cut, the diameter is smaller as compared to the large intestine. So perhaps on this reason they have named it the small intestine. So over here the food has been digested and absorbed, and now it will reach the same thing that we have revised. It will reach to the large intestine, to the portion that is making the large gut. And this portion is also has different portion, different parts.
Number two. Four also.
Large gut. Last part of this small was ileum. Please look at this. Last part was ileum. This will open into a part of large gut over here. Opens into another tube. This tube we call it ascending colon. It is riding above. It is raising above. The other name for large gut is colon. So cecum and ascending colon. Then this goes and turns to our left side like this. And this goes down and turns again. So this portion is what we call transverse colon. It is running horizontally in our body. Transverse or horizontal, ufka. So this is like this. So this tube from this to this. Then it will descend down. So this is what we call descending colon. Descending colon. Then it will go down into an S-shaped part of large gut, which we call sigmoid colon. the word sigmoid. Sigma. Anybody can recall back what sigma?
Some.
Any Greek number.
Greek number. Yes, we have alpha, beta, gamma, delta, like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sigma is one of the number. It is like this actually. We write it like this, with S. So this is shape which decides this name, sigmoid colon. Then it will end into the last portion, the rectum. And it will end into anal canal. And it will open by the opening anus. The last where undigested food has to be defecated, removed from the body. So we have two ends of our GIT system. Mouth and the last, the anal region, anus.
What's the last part? Picture?
Rectum.
Rectum.
This is tube, this last part of the GIT, rectum. So if we make it over here, this is the rectum. It is like a sac, this is a reservoir. The undigested food, undigested, that we call feces, stools,
Yes.
that can be kept over here. We can wait to go to the toilet for some time. So this is like a bag to keep it first as a reservoir. When we have a desire, it will become full, the brain, CNS will order us to rush to the toilet, but we can wait for some time. This is the quality of this bag. Then this portion is what we call anal canal, and it will open into the anus. So we have two openings over here. Lower animals, they have usually one opening. They eat from the same open and defecate through the same. When we started our development in mother uterus, we also started with one opening. Tube was open on one. Then it started developing. This is what we call the developmental process that has made this tube. But one thing to be remembered, that we enjoy the food by one opening only, by the mouth. That is the taste buds over there with the mouth. But do you remember that in India, Pakistan, we have some foods which we can enjoy at both ends? Har, yani kullu falafel. So I recall back one Arabic formula also that said harikun mudkhila, lazimun mudkhila. Harikun mudkhila, lazimun mukhrija. It was something like that. Actually, I saw it in one London. Is it parliamentary to say this? In between. In actually London, there is one area where all Asians, they have got a special area where food, everything is. So we have one food that we call, we meat with meat, nihari. You might have heard the name. You use less falafel and of course not very hard foods. So another food what we have got is sweet dish. It is available in Hutaim also with packets which we can make with rice and milk and sugar. Kheer we call it. Pudding, like pudding. So one of our English friends, he had nihari at the evening, and after that we gave him sweet dish.
Oh my God.
So it was so soothing on the mouth. After hard food, eating a sweet dish, just make it comfortable. But in the morning he was crying in the bathroom, please kheer come down, please kheer come down. So that was the story of the yang at the two ends. So with these parts, now this portion of the large gut is mainly concerned with absorption of water. Now another thing we have to add over here, the famous part. With this portion we have attachment to another organ, that is the appendix. Now this appendix, you might have heard that the most commonly painful it becomes painful and surgery is the only treatment.
Yeah.
So this appendix in our system is vestigial organ. Vestigial means that it is not useful for us. In previous generation it might be, but now it is useless. Just it is there. But sometimes it gets the food over here and then gets inflamed. And then it becomes a problem. Then we have to cut it out. So, visceral peritoneum. Did you get this point, please?
Yes.
So if we cut it like this, in transverse section we will see this is the outside wall. Then inside this wall is lined with parietal peritoneum. But it is very closely, it is attached with this, like this, not no space. Then we have got, for example, stomach here, small duodenum, ileum, large gut, colon, so all these organs. So they are covered with this visceral peritoneum, coming like this, and they will be covered like this, or some may be covered like this. Some of the organs, please look at this. For example, kidney over here. They are covered like this. They are not. Look at this. These are all covered all around. Malfu, yani they are within the bag. But this organ is behind the bag.
Kidney?
Kidney only. Some other organ, some part of the duodenum also. But to remember it, kidney. So these organs which are within the peritoneum, we call them intraperitoneal organs. Intraperitoneal. Intraperitoneal organs. Salam. Okay. Then these organs which are behind, we call them as retroperitoneal. Retro means behind. Well up. So retroperitoneal organs. So now another thing, please look for this. These organs, if we look, this is our, we are looking from front. If we look from the side, then we have got this, our anterior wall of the abdomen, this looking from this side. Then on the back we have got back wall, our vertebral column, bones, covered of course with muscle skin. Then some of the organ, for example this organ, it is suspended over here, covered with peritoneum, suspended over here to the anterior to posterior wall. So these suspensions which anchor, mollic, these organs, they are called mesenteries. Mesentery. They are part of peritoneum. Now, all these mesenteries which will attach with different organs make some special regions which we call ligaments. So they are all names of different portions of peritoneum. One is big layer. Let us see like this. Big layer of peritoneum. So once, let us say stomach, it starts developing, so it will push this wall like this. So this is from the front. So it has come up like this, covering it. So this portion is what we call to the anterior mesentery, attaching this stomach to the anterior wall. And one layer will go from this to the backbone, posterior mesentery. Then we can name them according to the region also. For example, if it is between liver and stomach, we will call it gastrohepatic. The other name for liver is hepatic. So gastro is stomach. Or between stomach and duodenum, gastroduodenal. So all these are different portions which
Like
describe the arrangement of membranes.
The last point I didn't understand, when the stomach push, what
The development, when you have to go back to development, just started our GIT system, just for information, shape was like this, our shape, C shape in development. Everybody was like C. So over here mouth has to develop. And this portion has to make what we call GIT system. So it was covered with membrane, with layer, peritoneum. So let us make this with red color. So when one organ starts developing over here, and below this it pushes the membrane like this. What you call membrane, Rishai I think in Arabic, sitara like we put on the curtains. So it will push this, so it will develop further. Let us see, it will develop further like this. A time will come when it has been covered all around. So this has become intraperitoneum. This organ whatsoever, it has become within the peritoneum. So now this peritoneum fold, now this portion is attached to anterior wall and this is attached to posterior wall. So these are mesenteries. These are attachments which are putting it, attaching it, suspending it to anterior wall and to posterior wall. So this is the peritoneum. There is typical special arrangement of peritoneum in the body. And we have to study it. When you go to medicine, we will study how this peritoneum is reflected. Second thing, when we perform surgery, we respect the peritoneum. We cannot cut it through and leave it. It has to be repaired back in its original anatomical position. So this is the requirement that we study. So this was the introduction to the word of peritoneum, policeman of the abdomen. Now another thing which we have to see, we will see it in details next, but these were the parts of the GI of large colon. On our right side, this region, this is a bend, ascending colon, transverse and descending. So these are what we make the curve. So these curves are called flexors. Flexion is to bend. So one flexor is this one and one flexor is this one. Bend. Now over here we will see it again. Over here we have another important extra gland, liver, placed on this side. And another spleen that can be swallowed. Then it helps in swallowing. So next step was that we have to take in the food, we have to swallow it. And tongue also is there to help us. Then we have got speech formations, especially in some of the languages like Arabic. The use of tongue is very typical for making a speech. In some of the languages, they don't care for it. For example, for us, in our language, we never have a difference between ghain and gaf. So there are two words for this. But when you have to speak of qaf, it should come from the back of it. Or with say, musallas, for example, the tongue has to play a lot of role for this. And unluckily, we people who are Ajami, they cannot make that as you can make it. So this is the portions. Now, if you look at the picture of the tongue total is just very easily divisible into anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3 parts. 3 portions. So anterior 2/3, but if we feel the whole tongue, it is not smooth. It is rough. The surface is rough. So when we see, we find that there are elevations placed on the tongue. That is this whole dorsum of the tongue, upper surface which is facing above, is not smooth. It is raised into small elevations, raised particles. All these they give a rough shape, rough feeling to the tongue. So slippery tongue, if there would have been, may not be more helpful for holding the food. So this roughness makes it more suitable for holding the food, for positioning the food in the mouth, for keeping the bolus inside the mouth, and to help for swallowing. Now all these, they are arranged in different shapes on the tongue, and that we call as papillae. The term for these raised elevated portions is what we call papillae. On the shape we can divide them to filiform, to fungiform, circumvallate. Out of all these papillae, some of the papillae, they have got a special organ inside which are called taste buds. Not all, but some of the papillae, they possess taste buds, and that we talk that they are responsible for reception of the taste. So we taste the food with the help of taste buds which are placed in the papillae. So these taste buds, to realize the things, any sensation, for example common sensation of touch, temperature and pain, we need nerves. For taste buds also we need nerves, gustatory nerves they call it. So they are also gone to the central nervous system. So ultimately what we taste, we place in the mouth, but we understand with the help of our nervous system. So this is an important function that we have got for the tongue.
Doctor,
Please.
what the meaning of the second point, forms bolus of food?
Must form bolus of the food.
Yeah,
Bolus is lukma, what we said.
yeah.
So to make it into a bolus format, bolus is easily can pass through our next portion of the tube.
Yeah.
Then another important structure are the teeth, and of course with background you can understand that we have got two sets of teeth. What are those? Anybody can name two sets of teeth in a human being, in us?
Axilla.
permanent
So you use the word permanent.
and milk teeth.
So before this,
Milk teeth.
temporary, let us
Temporary.
equivalent word. So a set of teeth appears in small children. All of us, we started with these teeth. The temporary teeth. Temporary means that they will last for some time of the life. Then we will get another set which will last for their whole life. So these teeth, some people they call it, with technical term we call them as deciduous teeth. So these teeth will fall out after some particular age. Some people they call it as the primary teeth. So in comparison to the secondary teeth, some people label them as the baby teeth and adult teeth. So different notions to describe these two sets. Usually these teeth 20 in number, with the age they fall out between 2 to 6 years of age. Now the permanent teeth which we possess, and this is the only set that we will get, and it will last for life. If we don't take care, it can fall out of course and can decay, can become out use. To remember this, we use one figure that they call as dental formula. In our jaw where these teeth are placed, if we look at tooth, this whole tooth is placed in a socket or pocket of a bone. This is all bone. In the case of lower jaw it is called mandible, and in upper jaw we call it maxilla, maxillary bone. So mandible and maxilla, the upper jaw, and lower and upper jaw. So these bones, they possess what we call sockets for the teeth, and they are called, single is called alveolus with plural as alveoli. So sockets where the teeth are placed are alveoli, pockets. These are the pockets where our teeth are fixed, are fit in these pockets. So they are made of the bone, covered with special material, mucous membrane, and this we call, what we call gums. The word is gingiva, or the gums. Now tooth is placed in it. The portion of the tooth that we can see outward is what we call crown. The tooth part which is visible, that is the crown. And rest of the portion which is buried inside the root of the tooth. It is very strongly placed, very strongly fixed in the socket with the help of certain ligaments, and normally it should not fall out. So these teeth, they are in the sockets, and we said that we remember them with the formula of 2, 1, 2, 3 in one of the quadrant. So in each jaw, if we divide this into 4 portions, so one quadrant, so each will have this set of formula of teeth. So if we start from this, they will be arranged like this. We go to the back, from front to the back. So these two are what we call incisors. The central and lateral, 2 incisors, central part. Now you have to make a line in between. So only 1/4 will be taken, will be considered. So this 1/4 in the whole mouth will be that, if you count them, how much this comes? 8. So total upper and lower
24.
are 4 quadrants. 32. So at the end we will have a complete set of 32 teeth. Adult, the permanent, secondary teeth, 32 in total. In one of the 4th region, we have 2 incisors, 1 canine. We are going from forward to backward, from front to back. 2 premolars. So 2, 1, 2, 3. Formula is 2, 1, 2, 3. So in one quadrant. So total 32. 32 teeth over there. Very bad. So this is the formula to remember it. Now these teeth, they appear at different age period till the last molar is the last to appear, usually at the age of 18 to 22 or 23, and that we call as the wisdom tooth.